Hi, I have the air-filled FU Corsair from nitroplanes.com. The box doesn't do the plane much justice, so I'm going to go ahead and let you check it out. I'm going to be doing a build video on it. There's a horizontal stabilizer and elevator. The vertical stabilizer rudder is already on there. Got a 2.4 gigahertz radio, very nice. The instructions we won't need, and the glue that came with it we won't need, and the accessories pack. Okay, I'm going to be using epoxy glue on this airplane so that stays together. Right out of the plastic in the box, I can tell how easily of a build it's going to be. I'm going to be using foam compatible CA glue instead of epoxy glue. No need to mix up two-part mix of what little bit of glue this requires, and I do mean very little. All that's going to be glued on is a horizontal stabilizer and rudder. And before I do, I'm going to take some medium sandpaper. I'm going to break the paint off of the surface where I'm going to be putting the CA glue. It's going to change the color of it so the paint is not there, so the glue adheres a lot better. And I'm going to do the same on this surface. I just want to break some of that paint off of there, give the glue something to stick to other than the paint. And then, test it before I glue it in. Oh yeah, that'll work quite nicely. That's the only thing on this plane that needs glued. Everything else is going to be really, really easy and it locks together, and I'm going to show you how super easy this plane is to build. So I'm going to go ahead and take it back off and glue it together. I'm going to go ahead and put the CA glue on it now. I want enough to hold it, but I don't want so much that's going to squish out and ooze out on the edges. CA glue will really mess up silver paint really fast, so I don't want to put too much because this stuff holds really good too. This is very good glue, and incidentally, you can't put this on upside down. It won't fit, it won't let you. These horns must go down, and it won't let you put it upside down. So I'm going to move this out of the way here a little bit. Then just slide that in there, and make sure that I got it lined up right there, just perfectly, and then again right here. Push it down. I'm going to check it on the bottom. Looks really, really good and straight. I see no problem with the linkages fitting. I'm going to give it about a few moments to dry. The horizontal stabilizer glued up nicely, and I didn't have to even use any sandpaper right there so the rudder could clear. If that should happen on your plane, just break the edge off a little bit so this can clear. But this came out just perfect right out of the box. Now, on the linkages, it's really, really easy. These clevises need to be turned so they're both the same length from the servos. The servos should already be centered on the plane, I'll guarantee it. Snap that one together and do the other one the same way. Now see how those are even? They're even with the surface of the horizontal stabilizer and with each other. If you had one too far and it was like that, it would need to be turned, so these are absolutely even. Nothing to that, very easy. The rudder linkage needs to be the same way. The servo should already be centered, so it just needs turned out or in, whichever required. So when I snap this together, that my rudder is centered. It needs to be right in the middle. If it's left to right, just turn the clevis until you have it centered, and it'll be good to go. Now all I got to do is show you how to do the main wing, and then we can move on. Before I do the main wing, let me go back. I want to mention something. It won't hurt anything at all to put fuel tubing on these clevises. Just take the clevis off, put a piece of fuel tubing on there, and then slide it back over to hold these down. probably a pretty good idea to hold these things together and fly so you don't have any problems. It's real easy to slide fuel tubing on that and tighten those so they stay there for good. Some of these smaller planes from Nitro planes have amazing detail. I can't believe the hub on the nose and the engine cowl. It looks so realistic, and the canopy with the pilot also very nice. This is also a good feature. This comes off to allow you to access your brushless motor and ESC, or the wires to the ESC and the brushless motor. So my choice is not to glue this back on, but to use 2 long screws, one on either side to hold it. But I just admire the detail on this so much. Looks so realistic. The canopy hatch is magnetic and comes right off, and I'm going to take the receiver out. This is the battery wire. I'm going to locate the 2 loose. There should be 2 aileron loose wires in it, that is those. I'm going to take the 2 aileron wires and push them to the bottom of the plane and out the other side. Now, the battery has a very unique place. Right in there. Right into this hole is where the battery's going to go. I like that, actually, very neat. Now I can just put the receiver back and take the little wire there and kind of stick it toward the aft of the plane. Okay. Now I can do the main wing. On the main wing, I just need to take the servo leads like this, make sure it's not upside down, and plug them in color accordingly. One per side. Kind of hard to see what I'm doing there, but just like that. Always make sure that the colors are always lined up the right way. You always want that, otherwise it's not going to work right. And then I'm going to tuck the wires back in there some, just so my wing can fit flush, and then take this tab and push that down. There are 2 screws provided in the kit that come in this little bag that are for screwing this wing down. When I snug these screws down all the way, this wing will fit flush. See what a nice fit that is? Nice and smooth. Really nice. Now the landing gear, this landing gear is fantastic. Doesn't even require glue. Got to unsnap that out of the way. See how I have this turned with this inward? I'm going to put it in there and then snap this back. Ta-da! Landing gear in. How about that, huh? Other side. Open the snap. Move it out of the way. Grab the landing gear. Take this part, point it. Just in case there's any confusion, I'm going to show us a little up close. Notice I have this turned this way, and it looks like it might go in that slot there, but it does not. It goes in like this, and then downward, and then you snap it shut. Just like that. Now let's test the aircraft. I'm going to test the control surfaces now and the motor, so I put 8 AA batteries in the radio, and I'm going to hook the battery to the ESC, making sure always to plug red to red and black to black. There's a green LED on the plane that lets you know it's hooked up, and then it has that audible beep to let you know that it's ready. So let's see, left aileron, right aileron, pretty good. Elevator up, elevator down, rudder left and rudder right. An engine. Everything works fine. I did no pre-adjusting. I took it right out of the box and did it box stock, and it looks like I don't even have to do any adjusting because it's already dialed in. This prop is pretty neat. You just need to take the hub off and only take half of this assembly off, and make sure that the grooves on the prop are inward. So make the round part of the prop facing outward and the grooves, the deep grooves, facing inward, and then line them up to where they fit inside of that piece like that. Then just hold the prop and tighten this back on really, really tight. Can't beat that. I have an after note I forgot about. You will need to use foam inside to keep the battery in place. Don't just put the battery in there and let it go. It could slide backwards and cause the center of gravity to be off. So put a piece of foam in there. And if you do not have enough aileron movement, it is on the inwardmost hole right now. If you put that on the outwardmost hole on both sides, you're going to get twice the aileron movement that it has now, just in case you want it to be really, really maneuverable. Also, center of gravity on this plane is about mid-wing. That is with the battery all the way forward and the receiver and of course everything else in it. The battery is all the way forward as far as it can get. And the COG is about mid-wing. This has been Jeff with the FU Corsair Build from Airfield, carried by nitroplanes.com. What a very, very fun and easy aircraft to put together, and not to mention the superb detailing.